WFSB Plus original. This is the Capitol Rundown.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Capitol Rundown, where we bring you politics that matter to you from both sides of the aisle. I'm Kara Sundlun, and these are our insiders. Themis, Klarides, the former House Republican leader, and Tickey, a Democratic strategist. We're going to take you through all the big issues today: the government shutdown, peace in the Middle East, money in local politics, and the horrible case in New Britain. So thank you both for being here. Let's start with the news. Israeli hostages are home. There is hope for peace. It seems like a brief moment maybe where people are unified, and also perhaps, is this good for President Trump, for even those who don't like him? Let's start with you, Themis.
Well, I mean, whether you love or hate President Trump, we all have to applaud and be thankful for what's happening now, where the hostages are coming back and there's actual talks going on. It's made me a little crazy when people have said, especially my Democrat, colleagues, not you, but others, that I hear all over the news saying, well, it's great, but, what is he going to do next? Let's just appreciate that this is a huge deal for Americans, for people in the world, for that part of the country, and he's working towards the next step. Now, listen, nobody's saying that we know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, but this next, it's about disarming Hamas. And he has claimed that they have agreed to the 20-point plan, which is them giving up their arms. And if they do not do that, he will do it for it. Now, we don't know what that means, but I have to tell you, whether you love or hate Donald Trump, one thing that you have to give him is that he strikes fear in people, meaning they know he means business. And no other president up until now, Republican or Democrat, has been able to get this done. This type of thing. I mean, I know this just happened 2 years ago, but this conflict has been going on for generations. So we have to appreciate what we have now with this and applaud it, and then hope he moves forward and disarms them and allows that part of the country, that part of the region, and part of the world to allow people respect on both sides.
Jimmy, what's your take?
It was certainly good for the world. I saw immediately after this news, which was welcomed news. I mean, the agreement of a 20-point plan is really significant, and that is the case. I saw immediately former secretaries of the state, Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice, people of different parties who have served as Secretary of the State, come out and applaud the measure of the agreement to the 20-point plan. That these parties are agreeing to the plan is significant, and then also that the hostages are now reunited with their families, or at least to safer ground, and will be reunited with their families, means everything to them and to the world. So certainly a very good first step, a significant milestone. I saw former presidents as well compliment, this administration on this very good, significant measure. And then we do need to move forward, given the history of the Middle East, and make sure that parties continue to stay attuned to the 20-point plan and continue to work together so we can truly have peace in the Middle East.
Yeah.
See, you didn't say but. Good job.
I didn't say but.
I know.
So President Trump gets some credit in this from both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, I think it's significant. And we've seen this conflict for 2 years. I mean, heinous acts in the last 2 years and long-standing before that. And so the agreement absolutely should be applauded.
Okay.
So, see, no but.
No but.
No but.
So, and of course, everyone's saying the but because we have to go forward. But you're right. Starting from let's appreciate the good. So, the government shutdown, if there's any goodwill that could spill over, it's almost like we're watching split screens because we're seeing all this good news, and then there's this moment of unity, perhaps like what we had of 9/11, where we all want peace and where there's some back scratching going on and credit where credit's due. But it doesn't appear to be spilling over into the government shutdown, and the government shutdown has now been shut down for more than 2 weeks. It doesn't look like the impasse is ending. Does some of this goodwill impact the government shutdown at all, Themis?
I don't see it trickling down at all. Unfortunately, the way Washington looks at this is they're applauding what the president did, as we all are. But what's going on down there with the shutdown and the arguments between should the budget pass, should the tax credits be extended, should they be extended now, should we wait to the end of the year, et cetera. The things they're really fighting over is a totally different matter. And I mean, today I feel as if the hope is even less that this shutdown is going to end anytime soon, because I think the Senate voted again, right, yesterday for the 8th time, and it failed. And now tomorrow I think they're bringing up another vote to try and vote on the defense part of the budget. And the problem here is we have a split between elected officials, and I lived it, so I understand it, between wanting to do its best, good government and helping the people, versus politics, right? You can't do good if you don't get reelected, and everybody's worried about getting reelected. And right now, the Republicans are blaming the Democrats. The Democrats are saying, listen, we're doing right for the people. We want to extend these credits, and you have to agree to it now, or else we're not going to agree to what you're doing. And they're just fighting with each other like children, which government oftentimes does. There are very important issues on both sides. And both sides have said, I'm not backing down at all. And when they vote tomorrow, I think on this defense budget, which will be one part of the big budget, if the Democrats say, okay, yes, then the Republicans will say, oh, see, you backed down. You really didn't care about the tax credits. If they say no, they're going to call them obstructionists. So it's like a no-win on both sides. And at some point, both sides have to say to themselves, we are here to run government, which means we are here to help the people that need our help, which are the citizens of the United States, and we have to actually do our work.
All right, Jimmy, any way to get out of this, or what's your take? I mean, the Republicans are saying that it's the Democrats shut down.
Right, though the Republicans have all of government, the White House, the House, the Senate. And so, as we've talked about, this was naturally the expiring, the Affordable Care Act tax credits naturally expire. So this is about Democrats saying, let's fund government, reopen government, and let's continue those tax credits so that people's premiums do not double. In Connecticut, people will see a significant increase of their premiums if Congress does not act and extend these affordable tax credits. These were naturally going to expire, so it would be kind of regular business to say, let's continue them out. And look, Democrats know they're not going to get everything they want in a budget. It's certainly not going to happen when Republicans have the White House, the Senate, and the House. But they're saying reopen government, fund these tax credits so that we do not take people's health care away. Speaker Mike Johnson does not want to call the House back into session. He has said he will not do that. He is saying, let the Senate act, and then the House will follow suit. This is the Speaker of the House, which has awesome power. He could at any moment call members back, have them meet, negotiate, vote on a bill. It just may be that even some Republican members of the House of Representatives would support opening government and including these tax credits. To my surprise, Marjorie Taylor Greene has even said that is reasonable. We should open government and we should continue these tax credits. So we will see what happens. I am not exactly sure. Today is October 15th. Today is the first pay cycle that some federal government employees are now missing. This means longer lines at Social Security, TSA. Farmers are now ineligible to get loans. So I think with each passing day and each passing week, it will be seen that there is a real need out there for government to have these programs that people depend on. It will cause harm. It will cause much longer lines as anyone is flying or looking to go to the Social Security office, and government should reopen, and Speaker Mike Johnson should open up the House and have a vote.
And Speaker Mike Johnson did have a vote and sent it up to the Senate, and they can't pass it. Right? So this is the problem. I mean, he said, I will not bring all my members. Remember, there's hundreds and hundreds of congressmen up there. So to bring people from all over the country in when they already did vote and now the Senate can't pass it is where the impasse is. But I will tell you from 2017 when we had our budget impasse in Connecticut, nobody in the public seemed to care particularly when July 1st came and we didn't have a budget, which is when it starts, but they cared at the end of September when the first ECS check didn't come out.
Yeah.
So
now that
to
they're not getting
point,
paychecks.
Checks kind of get people a little fired up.
Paychecks get fired up, for sure. We all want to get paid. Yes. All right, so let's move on to this horrible case in New Britain. Jacqueline Torres is 12 years old. They believe she was dead for at least a year. Her body was discovered in New Britain. They believe that her family kept her dead body in the basement in Farmington. And we're back to, not only is this a horrific case, her mother has been charged with murder, her aunt with cruelty, and the mother's boyfriend with murder. They've all appeared in court. But everybody wondering, how could this little girl be murdered and not even reported missing, and she was homeschooled? So from a legislative perspective, why we're talking about this on a political show, we've dealt with homeschooling before, but Themis, we have very, very little restriction on homeschooling, but that perhaps means we also, do you think we don't have enough oversight?
Well, we have zero restriction on homeschooling, meaning when you go if you go online and you look, what are the requirements for homeschooling? You see a lot of words like suggested and recommended. Like it's suggested that a parent, when they want to take the child out of a traditional school and homeschool them, send a letter of intent. Now you would think that would be a kind of a no-brainer. but it's not. The child can be there one day and the next day not be there. It's suggested. It's recommended that they have to follow the core curriculum, reading, writing, arithmetic, that kind of thing. Yeah. But there's no follow-up to it.
No oversight.
It's recommended and suggested that once a year they have to kind of file a plan. But none of this is required. And for me, I have experienced and spoken with many, many homeschooling parents throughout my years in the legislature. And I certainly agree with people's right to decide to homeschool a child if they choose to. But I also believe that we as a state have an obligation to make sure those children are being educated in the proper way. That doesn't mean somebody comes into your house once a week, but basically we have zero regulation now. And we have to do something to make sure that these kids are being educated properly. Now, this horrific situation in New Britain, and my heart goes out to the family. There's almost no words to explain how I feel about the fact that these parents and aunts and this family killed a child, kept him in the house, and then stuck him in a box. I don't even know what to say about it. It's so horrible. And that's certainly not homeschooling to blame, but this mother decided, I'm going to homeschool this child. Now, in this situation, I think we can guess that was an excuse to take the child out of the school so nobody knew what was going on with the child. I mean, I'm just guessing. We haven't seen the details of the police report as to why they were arrested. But it brings to the forefront the issue of homeschooling and giving the state and police a little bit more checks and balances over what's actually happening with those kids when they're home.
Yeah, and Jimmy, this is the second case. We had a situation in Waterbury where the mother, we lost track of him after he was homeschooled.
Right. I mean, absolutely tragic. I mean, this case in New Britain is tragic, as was Waterbury, some different circumstances. But I mean, to think about what went on in New Britain leads us back to this homeschooling issue, which has been discussed in the state legislature, and probably that discussion will be renewed about, when someone goes to learn, when a young person goes into a school, whatever that school may look like, there are really two expectations: that the student is learning, and then that the student is safe. So when kids every day go to schools, whether it's a public school, a private school, or homeschooled, those are really the two measurements. Are they learning, and are they keeping up to be in this competitive economy? And are they safe? Are they safe in their public schools? Are they safe in their private schools, and so forth? And when you can see a student in person, you are able to talk to them and see how they're doing. There can be calls to parents. There can be wellness checks. But what gets us to the homeschooling issue is that you often don't see these children. They're being homeschooled. And for many, I'm sure it's just fine. But as we've now seen 2 cases this year, this gets us to the reasonable request that some have made, which is, should there be some sort of regular check-ins, even for those that are homeschooled, just as you would see a student in person in a public school or in a private school. And
that's what some of the proposals have been legislatively, that, just possibly annual checks, bring the kids somewhere, that the state is running to make sure that they're learning the proper way, and obviously,
and where someone can ask, are you being
right, have some connectivity.
Like the pediatrician will now have a parent be out of the room and say, do you feel safe in your home?
Good.
Right. So, and it's just terrible that, again, I support parents' need and want and right to homeschool their child, but they have been very, very strong in their lobby throughout many years and not getting any regulations. And I think that, considering these things that have gone on, we have to at least have checks and balances to make sure these kids are safe.
All right, and last, I want to hit this quickly, but there's a lot of money going into the congressional race for John Larson's seat. This week we saw Murphy come out, Senator Murphy say, I'm with Larson, but yet we're seeing a lot of money, Jimmy, go in as Congressman Larson is being challenged within his own party.
Yes. Well, in a modern day federal election in the House or the Senate, it requires enormous sums of money, whether you agree with it or not. And there have been some efforts to see if maybe federally there could be some sort of clean elections program, just like we have actually here in Connecticut for our state candidates. But it requires a lot of money. Is money everything in politics? No, it's not. But you need to have the funds to know that you can be competitive and that you can have a ground game. And so former Mayor Luke Bronin did post a huge fundraising haul, as did the Congressman John Larson. There are other candidates in the race, like Representative Gilchrist, who I'm not sure if she's released her numbers exactly, but it may not be as high as what the Congressman and Mayor Bronin have raised. Mayor Bronin was over $1 million, many of it individuals. And so money is important. And what's also really important, because the person with the most money doesn't always win, is that ground game. Who has the energy on the ground? Who has the support of voters? Who's out there with volunteers talking to people and engaging their communities?
Good old-fashioned handshaking.
Yeah.
Okay. And Themis, I know it's the other side, but what's your take on all the money going into this congressional race? And
well, money is not just important because, I mean, clearly you can't run a race without money because you have communication, you have to do mailers, you have to do digital ads, you have to, speak to people. It's also important to show support. Because when people are willing to open up their pocketbook and give you money, that tells you something about that they at least have an interest in what you're doing. You think you might be okay. I mean, we see Ryan Fazio this week, who only announced for governor 49 days ago and has raised $157,000, which is, you need $250,000 to get the state grant, millions of dollars to run a governor's race. I mean, and that's the most amount of money I think that's ever been raised in that amount of time. For the Citizens Election Program, and that was over 1,000 donations. So there were some big donations. There were a lot of small donations in regards to that. So I mean, we see how important money is, but it's also not the end all and be all.
Erin Stewart also has raised some money, or at least enough that she said she would be able to launch a real race.
Right. She has an exploratory committee, so she hasn't officially announced, I believe. For governor.
She had a goal to raise $350,000, I think, got there.
Right.
So we will continue to see how this. But there's a lot of money going into these races. So, but the money's not. You don't always. The person with the most money doesn't always win.
Not always. And low dollar contributions can mean a lot, because someone who gives $5, that might be significant to them. They might then go and maybe host a lawn sign for that candidate, or then go and door knock or help that candidate. So even $5 can go a long way when you help a candidate.
And it's not the person with the most money doesn't often win, but the person with the least money is probably not going to often win either.
That's true.
Right. So. Okay. So it's a good way of putting it. All right. Thank you to our insiders. We've got all the topics that matter to you, and you can watch all of the Capitol Rundown streaming exclusively on WFSB Plus and on WFSB.com. Click on local news. You can follow all these folks on social media as well. Have a great day.
Every day coming to the rink is a privilege.
This year's team is loaded with talent. The pack is back.
Every day coming to the rink is a privilege.
This year's team is loaded with talent.
And you're only as good as the guys around you.
There's a revamped arena and a jam-packed calendar full of fun for the fans.
We're trying to build the best team.
The puck drops now. This is your Hartford Wolfpack season preview.
Good evening. Welcome to our Hartford Wolfpack